Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of Trade the Chain AMA for members. Thank you for joining us. I'm joined along the co-founder and CEO of the TIE, Josh, who a lot of you members know from being in the community Discord, as well as our director of research, Nick Mancini, the one who makes the magic happen and educates you every midday at around 12 noon time or so on the Trade Chain channel. Today, we're going to go over a couple of things. I want to remind everybody that there is a live chat as well as a Q&A function. The Q&A function located at the bottom of your Zoom screen, so you can ask any questions you need there, as well as in a live chat, and we'll answer them as they come up. Today we're going to have Nick go over the markets briefly, let you guys know what's happening. Obviously, everybody is all wrapped up in the merge with Ethereum and what's going on there, which is coinciding with a really downtime in the market, price action right now. So he'll explain everything in his segment there. Then I'm going to go in, I'm going to show everybody a few things which I've been getting a few questions about from members. Which is, what are the SIG devs, and where can I get the actionable news alerts as well? So I'll show you where those are located. They're not so hidden, but if you haven't explored fully the platform, sometimes they can be a little tricky. And then finally, we have Josh, who's going to hit us up with the latest in the important news segment, that's similar to the ones that you get on Trade Chain dashboard. Plus, we're also going to do what we did last week, and that's going to do a little bullet round with Josh. And, it's hard to explain, but wait and see it. It's kind of fun. So without further ado, Nick, if you wouldn't mind, let's head over to the market, sir.
Yes, sir. Can you enable screen sharing, please?
Go ahead.
Alrighty, should be good to go. So equities, last time we spoke, were dropping. They tagged the POC at just above 3,900, wicked down, and are now back at the top of the range like we had discussed. And we pretty much said that it would likely just continue to ping pong around here and try and scam in either direction. So it would make sense that, we would get some sort of lift at some points, although that's not guaranteed. So, until this range is broken, there should be no, real significant price action for any asset class, in my opinion. So that's kind of, your window of opportunity is, a confirmed break in either direction. So, going into the rest of the week, I would, the fact that we haven't seen more downside with pretty much the obvious nature of what's going to come next week in terms of the Fed is, I guess a relatively good sign, but doesn't mean we're out of the weeds yet. So tough to really, say with conviction that we're going to pop out of this range, but it seems more likely than not, considering we wicked down here and we're now back at the top of the range towards the end of the US trading day. So maybe we kind of do something like this. The merge is in about 10 hours. So, expecting some fireworks around that, but more or less, I would assume that things would still follow equities, more or less. So Bitcoin, broke down out of the range, has yet to really recover. This was a good opportunity for longs. I don't think that, I think it's still decent opportunity. You could definitely see something like this heading into the merge. But obviously very tough to long with conviction, looking at a chart like this with pretty much the next area of support being 19.3 and 18.8 if we accept below 19.7. So if we accept below 19.7, that's when things are going to get hairy. Else, maybe we continue to ping pong around here and form some sort of larger range heading into the merge. For ETH, very similar to Bitcoin, but obviously not as bearish, which is, more or less a good sign. So drawing our range here like we did for equities, here's where we're ping ponging around. If we accept below 1560, things are going to get hairy. And if we can break above 1620, things look good. But, looking at equities again, it would make sense that we do something like this heading into the merge as well, a little deviation around whenever it's supposed to happen. And then we end up coming back down on a sell the news event. I guess, the one thing I want to leave everybody with is if the market does have a short memory sometimes, but if you'll recall, Taproot, the Bitcoin upgrade, was right around here, mid-November. And what happened after that is not good. So, this is the precedent for an upgrade for a top 2 token. And this is where we're sitting at for ETH going into the merge. So in my opinion, based on precedent, based on sell the news, probably will not look very pretty post-merge, but I would love to be shocked to the upside.
So a few comments. First one, an idea is, with the halving with Bitcoin, I mean, Bitcoin didn't sell off at the halving. It sold off like a day or two before because it had rallied, right? So it was sell the news, but it was sell the news a little early, right? Because I don't think once the halving happened, Bitcoin, correct me if I'm wrong, I could be wrong, but Bitcoin didn't like crash right after the halving happened. It felt like it was a day or two before that happened. Other thing which is really interesting to me is volumes on Ethereum today are not high. I was just looking versus their 30-day moving average, trading volume is up 0.54% today on ETH. So it feels like the whole market is in either well, we're just not trading crypto right now mode, or let's just sit on our hands and see what happens mode. But the thing which I heard, which is most bullish, and I can't give any more detail than what I'm about to give, is one of the most important sovereign wealth funds in the world I spoke to yesterday bought ETH on their balance sheet. They didn't buy Bitcoin, they bought ETH. I can't give any more details on that. Massive, like not a crappy country like Iran. And they didn't, nothing to the Iranian people, by the way, just government is not fantastic. But they bought Ethereum on there, and the reason that they bought it is because they were nervous about potential ESG concerns on Bitcoin, not because they cared, but because they didn't want the bad publicity for it. And the reason they were able to justify ETH was because of the merge. And so I would normally think that doesn't, that's not a, normally I'm like, the ESG thing, it's so stupid, it doesn't matter, who cares? But one of the biggest sovereign wealth funds in the world did care. So, for what it's worth, that's unbelievably bullish.
So in that context,
the firm.
I agree with you, and I have a feeling, and I'm probably saying this publicly for the first time, but I do think that Ethereum will end up flipping Bitcoin at some point in relatively soonish, in the future. I was going to say soon history, but that doesn't make any sense. In the not so distant future, I would expect Ethereum to flip Bitcoin, likely because of what Josh is saying. Also, we've discussed this before. ETH 2.0 will actually drive yield. It'll be a more investable asset instead of playing off volatility and kind of loosely held narratives and things like that. But in reference to just basic price action, we don't know when that person or those people, that entity bought. Maybe they were smart enough to buy at 800 ETH when it was at the lows in June, and they've been sitting in a fantastic trade, so that we don't know exactly when. But I agree with you that long term ETH is going to be more attractive in terms of the ESG narrative, in terms of investability, in terms of potential return. But in relation to where we're at in the macro scenario, and the fact that precedent has always shown that it's sell the news, sell the upgrade, et cetera, it's tough for me to say, because of that one situation, that ETH is going to end up being bullish after the fact, because even some of the smartest players get caught off sides, and also big entities like that typically just make batch purchases rather than actively trade. So they may have more in their coffers for, potentially 3-digit ETH again, if we get that low, or around 1,000, 1,200, something like that.
All right, moving on along. Thank you, gentlemen. We are going to go to the Trade the Chain dashboard. One of the things I've been getting a lot of questions on from members, new members, is where is the actionable news items and the SIG dev alerts? Now, members who've been around for, the last 2 years or so know SigDev alerts very well. In the past, they've been extremely profitable at times to trade. And we're going to get into that as well. But the news alerts are particularly, they're sorted in a very particular fashion where they are news that is most meaningful to market impact. And we try to put as much of that in without the noise. So right here, we're going to go to the front dashboard. If you look at the upper right, you have alerts. Okay, this could be one of the many places you can find it, but you have alerts. And if you pull out the alerts tab, you could see all the news. And the news, you can do that by just clicking the news tab on the top here. This is what's going to be everything as it happens. And that's why it has a big bang next to it, because boom, bang, it's important. It could affect your trading. It could move a market. Right next to that, we have what's called the Rect Alerts. Now, the Rect Alerts are really good if you're an active trader and you want to see where liquidations come, whether it's on longs or shorts. Well, you're going to find those from the BitMEX Rect Alert channel right here. These are coming off of perps that have been, people have been stomped out of, whether it's long positions or short positions. These things are happening are being listed as they happen as well. If you go over to the whale tab, and by the way, you can have all these on at once. I'm just segregating these so we don't get the mix of them as they come in from a time perspective. But here on the whale alerts, you're going to get where all the large movement is on coins. So for instance, we look at this top one, for instance, which just came in a little while ago, 1,000 BTC worth $20 million USD transferred from Coinbase to an unknown wallet. How would this help you possibly? Well, if you see a lot of coin flows going either into onto an exchange or off an exchange, typically traders will use that as a guiding light on whether there's going to be sells in the market, large sells in the market. So a lot of people keep this channel on just to make sure that they can see if there's anything behind the covers that's moving in the market and anything they need to be prepared for. Now, you can find this also on the coin screener page. Again, it's on the upper right-hand side and it pops in and out. But if you remember, and I don't even want to say anything, but if you haven't joined the Discord community, you have to. This is the first thing you have to go. This is where we are all at 24/7, both the TTC team and all the members across 23 time zones. Wow, almost had to sneeze there, folks. Sorry. Now, this is, you can see the alerts over here. Here are the SigDev alerts. They're located towards the top. And if you go to the SigDev alerts, you can see all the listings coming through, not all the listings on every single exchange, because there's a majority of the exchanges are worthless to market movement when a coin gets listed there. These happen to be the ones that are the most important, the ones that can generate alpha or have the potential to drive profits. Now, the interesting thing about these alerts is these alerts are hitting our screens either at the exact same time that the exchange is listing them, or even slightly before. We've had our earliest alert come, I believe it was 23 minutes before the exchange even put it out publicly. We'll get into that another time, how we do it, but it has to do with the data scraping and a little bit of AI. But what these are is that our members are getting alerts quicker than anyone else most of the time on the most important exchange listings that are coming up. If you want and we've delved into this in the past, it's called the Coinbase Effect. And we'll have Josh back on to go through it. I mean, he's almost like an author of the Coinbase Effect book at this point. Soon to be a bestseller. I don't know. But his team has written a bunch of reports on it, and we'll let him explain that in a future episode. This channel also has the delisting alert. So there are things that you need to be aware of if you have certain coins on certain exchanges. When they do go for delisting, there's usually a threshold of time that you have before you can, where you might lose them. You have to take them off the platform. So this also lists that as well. I know that was light and comprehensive. and not so comprehensive as we'd like it to be. We're going to go more in depth, and we're going to give you a little piece of nuggets every single time we come on these AMAs. To go last week, I believe, or the week before last, we did sentiment trading strategy for beginner to intermediate level. So, Josh, how are you, sir? It's your turn.
Oh, great. I'm doing well. Doing well. All right, let's go over the top. Let's go over the top news and let's see what's going on. So, number one top news story today. It is actually the number one, the number three, and the number four and number 8 top news story today, depending on the source. CoinDesk, The Block, and a bunch of others.
Do Kwon.
Do Kwon going to prison. So I don't know if there's any commentary on that. I don't know if there's any thoughts on that. Do is still tweeting out pictures of the Luna Moon. I don't know.
Has he tweeted? Has he tweeted recently?
Yeah,
he tweeted today, I think.
He tweeted today. He tweeted the moon emoji and Luna went up like 10% before getting stuffed again.
He's tweeting while an Interpol red notice is out or whatever they call it.
He tweeted a moon 5 hours ago.
Yeah, so wait, I wanted to ask that because, you know, it was a South Korean arrest warrant. I don't think he's in South Korea. So what does that mean?
He's not. He's in Singapore.
Yeah, exactly. So
Well, he goes on Interpol.
if he's in Singapore?
I have to imagine that Singapore can extradite somebody to South Korea.
South Korea is very democratic in that regard, and they probably put in for an Interpol warrant. So meaning that any country that participates in Interpol can literally just go and arrest them. I mean, I'm sure maybe there's a big bounty of Luna Classic in it for you if you catch him.
I heard, you know, I
like
heard
catch a leprechaun at the end of the rainbow. You just get a boatload of crypto if you arrest him.
I digress. I'm sorry, Josh. I didn't mean to ruin your news segment.
I was going to say maybe you know, they'll put a bounty out in UST. You get a UST if you capture him.
Yeah.
All right. Next one. Let's see what's next. BNB Chain and Google Cloud work together to advance the growth of Web3 and blockchain projects.
Sounds like a lot of smoke and mirrors to me.
I'm in the same boat as you. I honestly, I didn't even see that news story. But I still remember Google and okay, so they're basically, you're going to be able to access BNB on-chain data on Google Cloud, it looks like, or something like that. Google's cloud team is being pretty aggressive on crypto and adding support for their data. You know, it's Google Cloud is not as great as AWS, and I think they're trying to get more clients.
Having literally worked with the Oracle Cloud for over a year and knowing that most of crypto runs on AWS and knowing how these cloud companies run these like promotions and the ways to like, I've watched the internal deal making for large, big companies, and the biggest gripes were always, A, your tech is not as good as AWS. B, your cost savings mean nothing to me because uptime and efficiency is everything. And C, migrating off of my current setup into yours is going to take way more configuration than it's worth. And so we literally don't care. That was 99% of startups. Like you had to be very much staring down the barrel of a gun to move clouds, because I mean, you have to think about running a tech company. If you're running your tech company on someone else's cloud, imagine moving your house from one lot to the other. It's literally what the equivalent.
No, I mean, I think Oracle, for example, has sent us like cookies to the office, and like Dell and all these other guys, they all try, and I'm like,
so
no.
you've been through that. Yeah.
Oh, I've been through it, and I ignore them every single time. They're like, you want to like announce a partnership with Google? I'm like, no, I don't want to move off of AWS infrastructure. Thank you. So I'm with you. Same thing. Let's keep going. This one is not crypto, but kind of crypto. It was also not the top news story, but I like it. New York Fed analyst Mark Cabana warns that the Fed is at risk of overdoing it and that this could be a headwind for risk assets. Thoughts?
I guess
disagree.
Yes, he's correct.
Well, I agree and disagree. They didn't overdo it. But
No,
it's
no,
going to
no.
be a headwind
No,
for
no.
risk
No,
assets.
whatever.
Will is at risk of overdoing it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's correct, because I mean, if you do risk overdoing it, but I don't think the risk outweighs the reward in this scenario, and deflation is what we need. So be it.
Starbucks NFTs everyone said Polygon, but the other news was that they were being built on Nifty Gateway. They're going to be available on Nifty Gateway, but Starbucks and Polygon partnering on NFTs. So
Can we not talk about NFTs anymore?
sure. Next. The question is, does it matter for Polygon? Then let's not talk about
Does
it.
it matter for Starbucks or Polygon? No.
Okay. Fair enough. I don't know. Now we're at a lot less talked about news stories. Let's see if I got anything else. This is an interesting one. Curious as your thoughts. Not a most talked about news story, but from talking to institutions, this is something that's been really hot. Tokenized securities finally feeling like maybe they're a thing. KKR tokenized part of their new fund on Avalanche. And I was with the head of crypto at a competitor to KKR who was not so happy that they did not move as fast as KKR did. And today, Onera raised more money. A number of others raised more money. The New York Stock Exchange only crypto investment is in Securitize, I believe. Starting to see a lot of movement on the tokenized security market. No comment, but thoughts from
Alex is a better person than me for this.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I know the folks, Jamie Finn, Carlos Domingo over at Securitize. Actually, they live on the island down here in the Caribbean with me. I've known them for, 5-6 years now. I think Securitize was built really, really well. It was built, and a lot of those firms like T0 and stuff like that were built ahead of their times back in 2018, 2019, when everybody thought STOs were going to be the thing. Now it's looking like they have a chance of becoming the in vogue thing. The deal with KKR is such a big deal. It's not even funny, and it's still under the radar. And Avalanche. Listen, Nick and I will be talking. We have the folks on. We have the Avalanche folks on tomorrow on our Twitter Spaces. We're going to talk to them about this. I'm going to get Jamie Finn, Carlos Domingo on Twitter Spaces after that. We're going to talk to them about this. I think this is a huge deal. I think it needed the brand power of KKR, Securitize, and Avalanche all to come as one in this deal. And I think this is the biggest shot STOs have of making it into the market.
In my mind, it's the first chance they've had. It's always been a chicken and egg problem to me.
100%.
You can't have good assets unless you have liquidity. You can't have liquidity unless you have good assets. Now we got an asset, which is part of the KKR fund, which is potentially moderately interesting. I'm not sure. Challenges, and I spoke to one of my friends who had started a security token startup in the past. He's just frustrated that this is just not including retail investors, right? That retail investors are left out of this, right? Which is the whole concept of crypto is really to open up financial markets to everyone to participate. My response to him was, at least we're getting somewhere, right? You got to start somewhere. So I think, look, I've been a naysayer on security tokens for a very long time because of this chicken and egg problem, but I'm starting to hear really positive things from your large traditional stock exchanges, from big funds, big asset managers, that they're interested in this. And, I think it's going to be a lot easier for them to do this than to do crypto, just because these are very clearly defined securities that are operating under existing security in the US.
Yeah, I mean, look, you look at Securitize. Securitize is a registered transfer agency. They have their own token technology that they've created. Avalanche is quick and transactionable. I think this is to your point. It's going to be good, even though it's only going to a certain segment of investors. But this is the test net, right? So, I like
bullish for Avalanche? ?
I'd say reasonably
bullish for Avalanche.
It's a good, I wouldn't say that this is going to make Avalanche break away from, top L1 correlation and start like gunning like crazy. But I would say long term, the more when we're back in bull, if Avalanche is continually being talked about in terms of the institutional coin, something like that. I don't know. That's
I think it
silly
sets
crypto is.
it sets a really good precedent for Avalanche.
Yeah.
It
Oh
says
yeah.
really big. This on its own, to me, it's not new. It's news because it's the first. It's not a huge deal yet, but it's potentially precedent setting. And I think others respect KKR, are going to look at what they're doing, and they're naturally going to, Avalanche can be part of every single discussion because of what just happened.
I totally agree. And this could be a turn of the corner for Avalanche, and where, this sets the mark if everything goes right to where they're used in a widespread fashion across STOs, So good, right place, right time. Is that all the news we got, Josh?
That's I got more, but that's the highlights. That's the top stuff.
That was the big one. And we have Avalanche tomorrow too, which is
Yeah.
really
Who
good
do you guys
time.
have coming on from Avalanche?
Why do you have to quiz us like that?
I thought you knew. I didn't think that wasn't a trick question.
We did Polygon the other week. Like, we have so many people that come on. I don't know everybody's names, man.
We have their BD guy. His name is Joe.
Okay.
There you go, Joe. We got Joe.
Yeah, we got Joe. All right, cool. Yeah, this is great. Well, I'm excited to check back in next week and see where we're at with the merge. What happened? Because right now,
I know.
anything. Well, ETH ran up to 1,600. Really exciting. It's now up 25 basis points over the last 24 hours. So, yeah, we got a little bit of a move during this meeting.
Real quick, before we end this segment, I'm going to put another speed round towards you real quick with the merge. Is there any percentage points in your body that the merge is like Y2K and has a chance to shut down crypto?
No.
Okay.
And if it is, I don't, whatever. Well,
it was a good run. We gave it our all.
We had a great time. I'll, Alex, you got a spot on the racing team for me to, fix
100%.
All right. Well, I can use a wrench.
Folks, thanks for joining us. If you missed any part of this, we're going to post this onto my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Alex Massioli Crypto, as well as we'll post it in the community too, so nobody misses it. Don't forget, tomorrow, September 15th, we do 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. We do have Avalanche coming on, Ava Labs, Joe. And we are going to ask him about the KKR securitized deal that just was announced today. Also, I believe the following week on Twitter Spaces, and all this is at Trade the Chain on Twitter. The following week on Twitter Spaces, we have a good friend of ours who's a fund manager, previously with Dash, a top 30 token. So those are getting to be really a lot of fun. Also, don't forget to watch Trade the Chain Daily Show with Nick Mancini every midday Eastern time, with the exception of this Friday. Friday will be coming to you early, but that's okay. He has the best nuggets and news you can get. And then we go on the air 2 p.m. Eastern time. My channel, Nick as well, over there. So a million things to do and watch if you ever get bored. Josh, Nick, thank you very much for this week's AMA.
Can I share one thing quickly?
Oh, Jesus.
I got one more. I'm coming in last minute. You've been asking me for data. I'm coming in last minute. This is ridiculous.
Okay.
This is Ethereum Classic Price Return versus ETH over different intervals of time. Holy shit.
We talked about that a few weeks ago.
I know.
The chain community. We had that was our high beta play.
Oh, wow. Yeah. It's whipping its butt.
Look at this. 180 days up 150% versus ETH. 90 days up 82%. Every time frame.
That's the OG chain too. That was the first ETH chain.
Yeah. So, wow. We should come back to this. I mean, it's up 172% over the last 90 days. I mean, that's
I'm just going all in on ETC. Forget it.
You and Barry Silbert.
All right, folks, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us for this week's AMA. Don't forget, as always, if you miss out, you can go in the Discord community, ask us questions. You can hit us up anytime. That's where we're hanging out usually. And if it's after 5, it's probably with a drink in hand. So until next week, guys, thank you very much, and we'll see you then.